Hey, it's Jason, and today I'll be taking another look at One Deck Dungeon. You may recall I've done an unboxing to this game, I've done a solo play, and I've also done an unboxing to its expansion pack. But before I get into the expansion, I thought it'd be a good idea to do a quick how to play on the original game, and then we'll go from there. So let's get to it and see how to play One Deck Dungeon. Okay, let's get this guy set up. First thing you do is open the box. You can take out the instruction manual and these pads, or this pad of paper is for campaign. I won't go over the campaign rules today. In fact, I'll stick with just the solitaire game for this review, and maybe we'll do a follow-up with the multiplayer and campaign rules at another time. So the first thing we do is get all the tokens out. And the dice. Lots and lots of dice, because what's a good RPG without handfuls of dice? So I'll set those up and be right back. So that is called the dice pool, and that's where the dice that are not in use are kept. Our next step is to pick out a character. The characters, for the sake of a tutorial, doesn't make too big a difference, so we'll just pick the warrior because I like her art. You can discard the rest of the character cards. They don't come into play again. Sometimes the setup is the most difficult part of these games, right? This one's actually quite easy to play once you get everything set up. So now we'll go for the cards. We actually take these two cards out, these basic skills cards. They're not needed in the single game version. They're also only for the campaigns. We can put those aside. Okay, now we'll pick the boss. The bosses have two sides. One side shows how you defeat them, and we'll get into combat in a little bit. The other side shows the rules of the dungeon. Each dungeon has 3 floors. So you have different things affecting you on each floor, and they actually add up, so it makes it really difficult. It's a really difficult game, actually. Then they also have dots on the top. Let's see, we've got 1 dot right there for easy, 2 for medium, 3 for difficult. So I think we'll just pick the easy monster for this little review. It's a dragon, a nice simple dragon. So we place our boss here. We discard the rest as they're not needed in this game. And then we place, we flip them over so we know what level we're on. And then we've got a turn reference card. It's got boss fight rules on the other side, and it's got some potion rules we'll get into. But we place that right over the dungeon card, the boss card, so we know what floor we're on. As we advance down, we move the card. So we'll place that right there. And now we've got these level up cards. You start on level 1. You can have 1 item and 2 skills, and we'll get into that in a minute too. Oh yeah, and they also have, for 1 player or 2 player, we're doing 1 player, so make sure they all say 1 player there. And as you advance on levels, you can have more potions, more skills, things like that. So we place those right here to make a little bit of room. Okay, that ought to fit a little bit better, right? So we're setting up the dungeon now. You have the stairs. The stairs go on the very bottom. You shuffle the dungeon cards, you place it on the top. So a turn consists of 2 phases. You spend time, and then you either explore or enter a room. So spending time just means flipping 2 cards. Every time you see a little hourglass, that means you're spending time. Now, why does that matter? You flip 2. It matters because at the bottom of the deck is those stairs. And you don't want to get to the stairs too quickly, because you want to hang around on a level a little bit and do some grinding and gain some experience and hopefully go up a level or 2 before you descend down the dungeon, because it just keeps getting harder. with every encounter you do during the dungeon, you also have to encounter what's on your dungeon card. Now this is an annoying step because no matter where I place it, I seem to forget it a lot. So if I forget it and go back, that's why. But as you encounter a creature, you have to do what's in these things. Now let's look real quick. There's two types of encounters: attacks or perils. Let's see if I can find a peril to show you the difference. Okay. So you attack creatures by rolling all your dice and then trying to match them. So on this, you would roll all your dice, and if you have, you need to cover them up. So if you have a 3 or greater, you can cover that up. If you have a 6 or greater, you can cover that up. If it's a bigger space, you can combine. So, and then the traps are a little bit different. You pick which one you want to do, and then you can only roll for that color. On monsters, you roll all your dice. On attacks, you only roll for that cover. The top one's going to be a little easier, but it usually costs time counters. We'll go over what happens whether you win or lose after we get to that point, but I'll show you the rest of a sample turn. So you shuffle all the dungeon cards. Uh-oh, I shuffled in those steps. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it's your turn. You spend your 2 times, and then you can either explore or enter a room. Explore means draw up to 4 cards and complete the dungeon. On your first turn, you have to do that because there's no dungeon. So you're using a turn to just look for secret doors. And there's the doors. There's no board, so that's just the layout. Now, explore or enter a room means you open a door and you can either go into a room or flee. So that's it for the first turn, though. You turn the 2 time counters, you lay the 4 cards. Turn 2. Turn 2 starts with, just like turn 1, you got to spend 2 times, and now you can enter a room. So we look at that, we can either attack or flee. It is a rune puzzle. So we could destroy it by fighting it. We would have to roll 11, which isn't too hard since we've got 5 attack dice. Or we could decipher it, which takes 2 time turns, but then we only need 6, but we're 6 blue. We only have 2 blue dice. We've got a whole bunch of attack dice, so we will try to attack it. And whether we win or lose, we still get the card, and I'll show you that in a second. So we rolled 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We got more than the 11, so we won. We don't take any damage. Now, if we would have lost that battle, we would have lost every... the blocks show the penalties if you lose. So if we wouldn't have been able to defeat this, we would have taken 3 damage and lost 2 turns of time. Fortunately, we didn't lose it. So now, when you win or lose a battle, you take the card, and there's 3 things you can do with the card. You can use it for an item, which is the side ability. You can use it for a skill, which is the bottom ability, and sometimes there's a potion there instead. Or you can use it for experience. So if you keep it as a skill, it goes under your player card, or an item, sorry. It goes under your player card like that, and it adds to your roll. So if we keep this as a skill, we'd get a 3rd agility dice. If we keep it as an item, we get this ability. The items give a cost, and then what happens. So on this one, after you roll, you would pick any 2 yellow dice, discard them, and then get these abilities, which is roll a wild card and another attack. If we keep it as experience, it lines up under our experience card like this, and when we have 6, we could trade those in, remove them from the game, and go up a level. Now, you can only have 1 item or 2 skills when you're on level 1. We're going to keep this one as a skill. Now, if you find a card you would rather replace, hey, guess what I forgot to do? I just said I always forget this step, and I did it again. I don't know how to remember this. When I play this solo, I forget it all the time too. I don't know where to put it so I would not forget. Maybe if we keep it on top of this stack. I don't know. Before I did that last turn, I should have been able to do these. It was a peril, so I needed to have a 2. Let's just assume I did, because I don't remember. Maybe we'll remember next time. Gosh, should give myself a thumbs down every time I forget about that card. Anyhow, if you have an item or a skill and you want to replace it with a new one, it just goes to experience, and then you can replace it. So now, it's the next turn. I'm going to flip 2 time cards. I'm going to put my dice on top of that, and maybe that'll make me remember that I need to do it. So now we'll flip the next card. It is a frost giant. There's no way we'd be able to beat this guy. And you'll notice he's got 4 experience, so he's like a level 4 monster. He's stronger, way stronger than me. Unfortunately, we can just flee. So we flee, and that's it. You can always flee. Now it's our next turn. We flip the time counters. We'll open another door. This is another trap. I think we can bash it open. Just need to roll an 11. And this time I'm going to remember to do that, it looks like. So we'll try to do this. We'll collect our dice. We have 5 dice. So now we roll. Okay, so I don't think we did it. We need to have 2 there, and that has a shield, so that we have to do first. Look at that, I finally remembered to do that. And now, can we come up with 11 on this spot? We have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew, 11, we just did it. So we get the card and don't take any damage. I'm gonna hope leaving the dice there will help me remember to do that. So we're going to take this one as an item. So it adds 1 to our attack. Just fits right under there. And now our attack, we have 6 that we can roll for attacks. Still not enough to beat that frost giant though. So now turn number 2, we flip. I'm thinking, are there any rules I missed while we do this? I don't think so. So we'll just do a couple of sample rounds to show you. I don't want to face that guy either, so we're gonna just flee. Now it's our next turn. You flip 2. And we're going to explore this round. So exploring, we just put 2 more there. And that's the end of that turn. So now we can go another turn and another turn. You know what? I forgot to put a potion counter back on that guy. Okay, we're going to explore this room. Who shuffled this? There's all these ice elementals everywhere. Okay, and there's just no way I want to attack that yet. So we're going to flee. Now we'll do another turn. And we'll check this room out. Whatever's in there, we're going to fight it. Okay. Now, this guy's a level 2 skeleton. If any boxes are empty at the end of the battle, so empty boxes are when you couldn't defeat it and you take the penalty. And I might have mentioned it, but if it has a shield, you have to close the shields before you can close other ones. So we're going to roll everything we got to attack this skeleton. So we get all this. Now there's a rule I didn't mention yet. You can trade in any 2 dice for a wild card, but the wild card needs to be equal to the lower of the 2. So we might have to do that for something here. But first let's get these blues out of the way. Let's see, let's put that there so we can see. Okay, we have 2 blues, and I think we're just going to cover them up like that. And now, can we cover up other things? We cannot cover up a red unless we can trade something in. there's really nothing we can trade in anyhow, so let's just cover up what we can. Oh man, this one's ugly. So that's it. We don't have a 6 to cover up that. We don't have a red 5 to cover up that. So we have to take some penalties. We have to take 3. Wow, so his undying ability here says any box is empty, spend 2 times. Well, we have empty boxes, we have to spend 2 time counters there. 1, 2. And then now we take the penalties in each box, which is 2 more time penalties for that 6 one. And so that 1, 2. And then for the 5, we take a damage. So you take a damage by placing that heart there, and another time penalty. How about that? That guy, even though we mostly beat him, look at all the damage he did to us. And now we get the card. So he could give us, if we want to take him as an item, we could get agility. We could take him as a potion, spend 2 times before an encounter, skip to the time loot phase. So basically lets you trade in 2 times and a potion counter to just take the item. And we may actually do that. So whenever you get a potion, you place it under there. Guess what I forgot to do? Yeah, I forgot to do that also. I think that can be an any. I think I actually had a 2 that I could have used on it. So let's assume I did that. Give me a thumbs down. Every time I miss that, give me a thumbs down. If you do it twice, you take the thumbs down off maybe. So we get a potion. Okay. Just to show how that potion works, we're going to, for our next turn, we're going to encounter this ice elemental. We'll use the potion. So potions you can, like I said, you can drink either one. And we skip the encounter. Before the encounter, spend 2 times and drink the potion. So we skip the encounter. Those are easy, guys. We could have beat. And we go straight to the loot phase. So we can even skip that thing that I keep forgetting. And we're doing this to take his ability as a skill. So that means after we roll, we can sacrifice any 2 yellow dice and then roll 2 agility and 1 yellow dice. So that's a really good ability. And we can have our skill, and we can have 2 skills. So we'll place them under there. So basically, you just keep doing this until... Oh, I forgot. When he takes damage, he gets a wild card. You can use the wild cards once and then discard them. But that's it. You just keep playing like that until you get... Whoa! You just keep playing like that until you get all the way to the end, and then you place the stairs once you're at the end. Then if you go down the stairs... Actually, you have to go down the stairs. So once the stairs are present, we kind of skipped ahead. Once the stairs are present, every time you need to draw a time counter, every time you need to spend a turn for time. So at the end of the turn, you can go down the steps. Whenever you need to spend time, you put a heart on the steps. Anytime you have 3, you take them off, and your character takes a damage. So they kind of force you down the steps once the steps show up. After you go down the steps, you expand the dungeon, and then you shuffle and start floor 2. So when you're on floor 2, you remember how I kept forgetting to do that? Well, every time you encounter a card, not only do you have to do what's on level 1, you have to do what's on level 2. So you have to do both. So let's just shuffle real quick and do a mock turn. So let's do another turn on level 2 real quick. So you'd be here, and then you'd explore, place them out. Okay, now the next turn you would discard your time counters and encounter a room. So if we were going to fight this guy, we would need to, it's a monster, so we'd have to do this. So we'd roll everything we got and our wild card. So the first thing we do, we have to defeat both of those blocks plus all of these blocks. And now we could use some skills. So we could do something like, we could trade in, so this is where you have to get creative. We could trade in these two for a wild, and they're both 5, so we get a 5 wild card. We've also got this ability down here. We've got these 2 abilities, so we can use those. We can discard these 2 and replace them with 2 agility rolls and an attack. So we can add those to our attack. See if that helps or not. And it might. We may be able to defeat this guy. So we've got some good rolls here. So we have that 5, and that's 6, and that's 6. And we have to cover up, oh, we don't have good. Oh yeah, we do. We have to cover up that shield, and then we've also got a 6 to defeat that, and a wild card. So we would actually defeat everything on that card, but we also have to defeat those. So we have a 3, and we don't have anything to defeat that one, except we can use that other. You can use every ability once per turn, so we could actually trade out 2 more attacks, get 1 attack and 1 wild card, see if that helps, and it did not help. So we didn't get that one covered, so we would take 2 damage there. The warrior's ability is whenever you take damage, you get wild cards, so for next turn we get 2 more wild cards there. But that's how you'd attack. So we defeated this phantom. We can get 4 experience, or we can get his abilities, or we can get, or take him as an item, or we can get that ability. So that's pretty much how the game works. So I know it seems a little complicated, but really once you start playing, it does make pretty good sense, right? You know what I forgot to do though? I forgot to say what happens when you fight the boss. So let's take the boss card. After you get to the bottom, oh, we're gonna zoom way up for this. After you get to the bottom of the boss of the dungeon, you fight the boss. So the boss fight is a little bit different. You can't use your frenzy attack when you fight him, which is your bonus wild card. You also fight a little bit different. So you see those skulls? Those skulls are how you damage. And this life here, that means the boss has 6 life. So what you do is you do your rolls, you cover up everything you can, and for anything left unturned, you take the penalty. Anything covered, you damage the boss. So if you cover all 3 of those, the boss takes 3 damage. If you don't have any of those covered, you take the damage. And then you wipe everything over and start over. So in round 2, you would attack again. And if you could do all 3 of those again, you'd do 6 damage, you'd kill him. Anything left uncovered, you take the penalty, and you may lose. And that's it. You fight until you defeat the boss. That's One Deck Dungeon. I think it's a great game. I will review its expansion Forest of Shadows and do a solo play of that, and then show how the 2 work together. So I'll do that eventually. Next week I'll probably be back with something else though, so be sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.